If you want to start enrolling my life, you need to shut the hell up, Dorit. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm Rafael and I'm here to review episode 17 of The Real Housewives Who Do Not Shut Up of Beverly Hills. So we start this episode off with a man going to everybody's house individually, one by one, to give them a package, an invitation to Dorit's event later on in the episode with a rose. And then when he gets to Garcelle's house, Garcelle's like, wait a minute, is this Prince Charming? Are you the man of my dreams? And he's like, no, I'm just here to give you an invite. She's like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna go back inside and cook some breakfast. And you know when he got to Jane's house, Erika was probably like, who's that at my door? Is it the cops? Who is it? Is it the police? Is it 911? Who is it? My name is Amanda. You got the wrong house. I think you want to go deliver that to somebody else next door. This is not Erika Jane. I don't know who this is. You know she was shaking in her boots when she had to open the door to that man. So then, unfortunately, we head over to Dorit right away, and we're at her house, and she's opening the door to her party planner. She's like, hey, baby. Hello, baby. How are you, baby? Mwah, mwah. Oh, my God. It's raining, baby. Come inside. We need to talk. Come, let's film on the couch, baby. And so they get on the couch, and they start talking, and she's like, we need to have a backup plan for this huge event that she's having for her clown outfits later on in the episode because it's raining, and it never rains in LA, so she needs to have a backup plan just in case. And I want to know, because as soon as I saw Dorit come up, first thing, not even 5 minutes into the episode, I was like, yeah, it's a bathroom break. So as soon as I came back from peeing, I'm like, okay, so what is she talking about? She's talking about the whole fashion thing with the wedding dresses. So I want to know, did she specifically design these dresses, like this style of dresses, or is she just attaching her name to it? Because bitches love saying that they're a designer, but they have no idea what they're doing. All they attach is their name to the product. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm a fashion influencer. I'm a fashion designer. I'm a brand, So I want to know what's the details with that. But, kudos to you, I guess, Dorit. And I like her invitations that she sent to the other women, like that the man was delivering early in the episode. I like that. It was like, these glass squares with their names and the invitations on it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cute. So Dorit, let me know what Etsy shop you got those from, because those were cute. So then we head over to Kathy's house where she's making grilled cheese with this woman that she invited over to make it for her in her room. And then Kyle and Lisa show up, and then Kathy's like, oh, do you want to see a cool way of how me and my dog Sue communicate? And then she gets on the floor, and I'm like, Kathy, what are we doing? What are we doing? And then the dog is like getting closer to her, and I'm like, uh-oh, is this dog about to sniff her, down there? And I'm like, it's getting closer, but she's like, no, this is just how we communicate, I just like to lie here. And I'm like, Kathy, if you don't get off the floor and stop smoking whatever you're smoking. And then Erika shows up, and we find out that Kathy's in fact not making grilled cheese with the woman that she invited over. She's there with those yellow Kraft single cheese things that she has for a facial. And I'm like, but why does it look like cheese? I mean, I guess if that's what we're doing to, keep our face looking right, then I guess. And I'm curious to know, did Garcelle get the invitation, Kathy? I mean, did you extend your hand out to her and even ask if she could be invited? I mean, the group knows how badly Garcelle has, been kind of feeling like an outsider to the group. So I wonder if the invitation was extended from any of the women to Garcelle. And as Lisa and Kathy are on the table getting cheddar cheese melted onto their face, we head over to Kyle and Erika, who's in the next room on the couch, and Kyle was quick to become the executive producer once again because she's like, Erika, so tell me about Sutton. What's been going on with you and Sutton? How are you and Sutton ever since, you last seen each other? And look into this camera right here and speak very loudly because we need to hear you. So go ahead, spill your BS to that camera right there. Continue. And then Erika opens up her mouth to tell us another wild story. Right before Garcelle's dinner, I found out that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles went over to Tom's house to try to burglarize everything. But Tom fought all three of them. Yes, Tom fought all three of them in the house. And it was a tough battle. I mean, it was 4-on-1. But he did call for backup. He called Aquaman and Superwoman, but both of them were busy. So it just had to be a 4-on-1 fight. And by the time everything was over, they had robbed his PlayStation and Xbox. So Tom, instead, he just ordered a Domino's pizza and was like, you know what? I'm just going to go chill out in the basement and just relax there until I get my help. Let me call my son. And then the son was coming over. He was coming over to check because I can't be there. And then as the son, my son, was driving over to the house, Vin Diesel showed up and he was on the road and he was like, hey, I kind of want you to be part of the family. Are you down for a race? So then they started racing, Kyle. Yes, Kyle, they started racing. And guess what? it was 20 inches of snow. 20 inches of snow. Yes, I told you that climate change is a real thing. And next thing you know, my son did tumbles down the road. I mean, it was 20 backflips. It was insane. I mean, you would think that he was joining a cheerleading squad the way he was flipping over. And Vin Diesel won the whole race. And he told them, you're part of the family now. You could be part of the next Fast and the Furious movie. It was just insane, Kyle. It was insane. And I'm like, Erika, what? Like, what is this story? And it was just crazy the way that she had it all read out, like in a script. As soon as Kyle asked Erika how was everything with Sutton, she just had this huge thing to say. And I'm like, what? Like, Erika, like, you can't be that serious. More tumbles in cars? I mean, at this point, I'm assuming that she's a cat and her entire family is a cat because what? They're like on their 9th live at this point. At this point, her and her whole family just need to take public transportation. Take a train, take a bus, take a Lyft, take a Uber. I'm sure that there's a discount code somewhere on Google that you can take because at this point, you and cars just do not mix. And I'm like, Erika, it's not looking good for you. It's really not. I mean, I would just suggest to just to just stop it, you know? And Kyle in her confessional, she's like, yeah, I mean, does it sound unbelievable? Yeah, it kind of sounds hard to believe, but am I going to believe her? Yeah, I'm going to believe her. And I'm like, wow, Kyle, so you pick and choose when you want to say something. How come you don't say something right then and there to Erika's face? Like, Erika, your story's not making sense. Can you please elaborate? And she's like, wait, does this snow in Pasadena? And Erika was quick to say, yeah, sometimes it wasn't in Pasadena. It was like a little bit farther than Pasadena, you know, like a mile or two, you know Pasadena. Did I say Pasadena? It was probably something else. I think I meant it was Pasadena, you know, it was Pasadena, not Pasadena. It was some other different city, you know. Don't catch on to my lies. I mean, if you want to give Erika the benefit of the doubt, we could look back, you know, on the weather in LA and California and see, has it really snowed? I mean, should there be records of this car accident that she keeps talking about? I mean, everybody in her family is just taking a tumble at this point. I'm like, damn, like, what's next? Tom went out to dinner with Goldilocks and the Three Bears? That's what I'm expecting for the next story at this point because it's just getting so hard to believe her. I mean, it was already hard to believe Erika like 20 episodes ago. And now it's just like, you know, cut it out. And on top of that, for the preview to next week, she's like, allegedly. On this whole story that she just said. So I'm like, Erika, is it true? Is it not true? What is it? And then we head over to Garcelle's house and the matchmaker is coming over to her house, you know, to try to see if she could find a spouse or a partner for Garcelle. So she walks in and she tells Garcelle, I have this matchmaker friend online that we could hit up right now on Zoom and I think she has somebody for you. So Garcelle and the matchmaker lady, they sit down, they talk to this person on Zoom and she's like, you know, I think I have somebody for you, Garcelle. I think this guy will be the perfect match for you. What do you think? And then they put up a picture of this topless guy who, you know, Garcelle finds attractive and she's like, he's a kickboxer. What do you think? And Garcelle's like, oh, you know, I can just hear the bed springs in my bed, you know, just ee-uh, ee-uh, ee-uh. And I'm like, Garcelle, stop it. I'm like, mood. You know, I just think with Garcelle, she is a really great woman. And I just feel like her standards, you know, should not be low at all. I think her standards should be very high because she brings a lot, you know, especially from what we've seen of her on the show. She is a great woman. So why not have a great man? You know, if you have to wait who knows how long until that great man comes into your life, then don't settle for anything underneath that. I do, however, want to see Garcelle go one-on-one on dates with other men, like actually go on physically one-on-one, not virtually, you know, because I know that's what she wants. She wants somebody, you know, she could run into, that she could bump into at a bar. I kind of want to see Garcelle sit down at a, you know, coffee table at a restaurant with a stranger and see how that goes. I think it'll be cute. Then we head over to Crystal's house and Kyle comes over and Crystal right away, she's like, yeah, Kyle, so like, we're trying to make this simulator thing downstairs in the basement and it's kind of like a golf simulator and we're trying to make a movie theater and a bar, you know, but it's so annoying because it costs like, I don't even want to say, it costs like close to $1 million. And I'm like, well, damn. I'm like, how much money? How much money do both of y'all have? How much money is your husband worth or your worth, Crystal? I mean, where does this money come from? Is the Lion King that damn expensive? I mean, how much is Simba's cause? How much is Mufasa's net worth? I mean, it's a lot of money. She's like, yeah, it's $1 million and, you know, we're trying to cut it down to 500,000. And I'm like, well, damn. And Kyle was like, oh, well, okay, I understand. Like, wow, that's a lot of money. And, we obviously got a taste of that because, a couple episodes ago, Crystal had that ugly bag on the table, that cost like a lot of money. And I'm like, damn, I'm like, must be nice. And Crystal's like, yeah, I don't really mind spending money if I know that it has value and, it has kind of like a goal type of thing. And I'm just gonna have to dig into the ground. So annoying. I can't believe this. I'm gonna have to, get people to dig into the ground because my husband is too tall. And every time he swings, his golf club is gonna hit the ceiling. So, so annoying. We were trying to go for less money, but I guess that we have to spend $1 million, then so be it. I mean, Crystal, I know you kind of been flip-flopping over to Erika's side these last couple of episodes, but do you need a babysitter? Do you need a lamp or something? The lady that's always in the kitchen helping you, does she need help? I could help her. I don't really know how to cook much, but I could, hand her the utensils or something. So then Kyle and Moneybags sit down and have a conversation, and Kyle, again, she becomes the executive producer. She's like, I really cannot stand how people do not talk to each other. I cannot live like that. And I'm like, Kyle, exactly. It's not your life to live. It's Sutton. And if Sutton and Erika don't want to be friends or don't want to talk to each other in the same space, it does not concern you. Why should it make you uncomfortable? It's not like you're going home feeling uncomfortable or going into an event uncomfortable either. Like, just mind your business. We all know that you just want both of them to clash again. So you can look back and be like, yeah, Andy, I did that. You see that? Give me a bigger diamond next season. Yeah, I did that. Give me a raise. And Crystal, fun fact about Crystal's sweater that she was wearing, it cost about $1,000 something. That Celine Paris on a gray sweatshirt, it cost like $1,000. I looked it up just out of curiosity. And Crystal's next words were a little funny because she's like, yeah, Garcelle, I understood what she said to you about, kind of, you don't know where you really stand with her right now. And she's always saying that she feels like an outsider. And then Crystal was like, well, I personally don't feel like an outsider. And I'm like, that's so funny that you say that because, again, at the beginning of the season, when Sutton was coming at you with the BS that was coming out of her mouth, the group kind of shifted towards against you, and they were kind of like more Team Sutton, and you were the only one that was excluded. And weren't you the same one who said, oh, back in the day, I wanted to fit in with white women so badly, or that you wanted to be white or something like that? So I'm like, how badly do you really want to be a part of this group? Because it seems like you're willing to do and say anything at this point. I don't know, Crystal. It's looking kind of fishy, Garcelle's feelings are Garcelle's feelings. And again, I'm surprised that you don't feel it or you don't see it from her perspective, because you would think, especially on the trip, that it is divided. It's between you, Sutton, and Garcelle. And I'm surprised you don't feel that division in the group, because Kyle will turn on you as soon as she finds out some type of scandal between you and your husband. Kyle and the rest of the women, especially Lisa or Erika, will turn on you in a heartbeat. But she does make a good point by telling Kyle, look, Garcelle, I think she's just been hurt too much in the past. And of course she has, by her own husband. I mean, that's the biggest backstab right there of your whole life. I mean, somebody who you married, who you call your spouse, betrays you. I mean, I can only imagine the trust issues that will come for friends alone. So I could see why Garcelle will have her walls up. It may take some time, especially with Kyle. I know Garcelle is not dumb at all. And she probably sees through Kyle's little antics like, yeah, I guess we could be friends and I could trust you to a certain degree, but I can't trust you 100% because knowing Kyle, Kyle will betray me. So I could see why Garcelle would kind of have her, walls up when it comes to this group. So then we head over to Kyle's house where she's prepping this dinner with Dorit and her husband and Maurice and Kyle. And Kyle's on the floor, and for a second I thought she was butt naked for a minute. I'm like, wait, let me take a closer look. But it was just these pants that resemble a look like a condom. I'm like, okay, so that's what you're going for. And then Dorit shows up and Kyle was quick again. She was quick to tell Dorit, like, so Dorit, hello, I just need to tell you about what happened with Erika. She told me that, Tom, he was broken into. And Dorit's like, huh? And Kyle's like, yes. No, but it gets crazier. He went to the hospital. Yes, he went to the hospital. Yes, Dorit. He went to the hospital. And guess what? The son, he tumbled down a hill. It was crazy. I mean, it was insane. And Dorit was all of us. Dorit was like, what? What? No, baby, no, you're lying. Stop it. Bubba, come in here. You need to hear the story. Bubba, give me my Louis Vuitton bag. I need to post this on Instagram. What, Kyle? No, it did not happen. Is he okay? What happened to him? Is he in the hospital? Let me know. Oh my God, do I need to go to Rodeo Drive and shop for him? Maybe he would like a nice, Louis Vuitton pajamas. Is he doing better? I mean, let me know, Kyle. So as Dorit, Kyle, Mauricio, and PK sit down to have dinner, Dorit was the first one to open her mouth to PK. So Baba, Kyle just told me an intense story, and it's just about Tom and how, he got kind of broken into and something happened, but Erika didn't want to do any brain surgery on Tom. So what do you think, Baba? And PK was just not having it. At this point, honestly, Dory, like, if it wasn't for your husband working extra hard, I mean, he was doing double shift, he was doing the night shift, he was doing the morning shift, he had no lunch break, nothing, because he was working extra hard for you to keep your diamond. He was like, no, I'm not buying it. I think it's a bunch of BS. It's all a bunch of lies. Like, what? No. Mauricio, he wasn't having it either. Kyle was trying to defend it, and Kyle's like, I just think that after PK and Mauricio, they are saying their things, I just think that maybe there is some things here that are not adding up. And I'm like, Kyle, you think? Like, why are we not, what's not clicking? And Dorit continues to defend the lies. And I'm assuming that Dorit knew that Erika was going to watch this footage in the future. And that's why she was like, there's no reason for me to not believe her. I mean, does it sound crazy? Yes, but I'm still going to believe her, because why would she make up all those crazy lies? And I'm like, Dorit, we all want to know the same thing too. Just because the lies are intense and crazy doesn't mean that, it's not true. Like, she is lying to your face. I mean, unless it is true. If in fact it actually is true, then Erika, you need to hire security. You can't be taking a tumble every other weekend. That is not how, things go. And Dorit also tells them that Erika didn't want any surgery for his head or his brain, but she wanted surgery for his ankle. And then PK is like, well, what is he, a soccer player? He's a lawyer. And all four of them bust out laughing. And I'm like, So now, Kyle, are we going to be honest? Are we going to keep it real? Are we going to, keep it 100% to Erika and tell her that all four of you were laughing at her situation? Huh? Are we going to tell her that? No, right? Because it only benefits you. And as all the women are getting ready for Dorit's event later tonight, we see Crystal on FaceTime with Kyle. And she's like, Kyle, what are you wearing? And Kyle's like, oh, I don't know. All my dresses are kind of tight right now. And then Crystal says this joke that was so, I don't know, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, Crystal, no. She was like, oh, well, do you want to fast with me? And I'm like, what? Like, weren't you the same one saying earlier this season that, you had body issues and stuff, and to kind of make a joke out of that and say, oh, do you want to fast? Basically starve yourself or not eat. And Kyle's like, no, I'm hungry. And they were just laughing at it, especially Crystal. Again, for that to come out of Crystal's mouth, knowing the type of body issues that you had, years ago, or even now possibly, it's I don't know, Crystal, you could have said something else. That was just in poor taste. Lisa is also getting ready, and Dorit is putting the final touches to her event with PK. And then in the car, we have Erika, and she FaceTimes Kyle, and she's like, oh, so you're also wearing a red lipstick. Ah, that's cute. I was kind of going for like this villain look. Yeah, like a villainess. And I'm like, that's one way to put it. And then we get over to Sutton's car, and then she's with a man who's sitting right next to her. And then at the bottom of the screen, it's like, oh, his name is Michael, and it's Sutton's boyfriend. And I'm like, when did she get a boyfriend? When did she get a man? I'm like, who the hell is Michael? What's his backstory? Is he like the friend of the housewife? Is he holding a diamond next season? Who is he? I want to know the backstory. Or like, did she just rent him out or something for the night? Like, is he a rent-a-cop? Like, what is he, Sutton? Like, I want to know. All the women start arriving at Dorit's event one by one. We have Crystal, we have Erika, and then Sutton shows up with her pretend boyfriend. And Erika was actually nice to her. She was like, oh, you look beautiful. And I'm like, was that comment directed to Sutton or Michael or the cameraman? Which one? Like, who are you talking about? And she was actually nice to her when she got closer to the table. She was like, oh, here, you can stand right here. And I'm like, wow. So are we going to be best friends now, Erika? What happened? What's the change of heart now? Because if I was Sutton, I would have grabbed her by the towel rack behind her hair, pulled her to the ground, pop. Oh, you thought it was over? Nope, it's round 3. Like, no, you threatened me. Garcelle, Lisa, and Kathy show up last, and Garcelle looks so beautiful, followed by Lisa. I think both of them look the best out of the whole night. I mean, I love Lisa's color that she had on, that green olive color with the fur. I love the color. I love Garcelle's look too. Like, she looked so expensive. And then Kathy was there. You know, Kathy, I was just side-eyeing her a little bit. I'm like, so you could show up to this event, but you couldn't show up to Garcelle's event last week. Interesting how you showed up to every event for the most part this season, but you couldn't show up to Garcelle's. Interesting, Kathy. Interesting. So as everybody's mingling and getting comfortable at the event, Dorit lets us know that, you know, she has been about fashion all her life and design and stuff, and she doesn't just put her name on something and calls it a day. And I'm like, oh, well, okay then, Dorit, like, you shut me the hell up for my comment earlier. I'm like, okay, but I still want to see the sketches. Let me see the sketches. I want to see the sketches first. Like, let me see what you actually drew first, and then I'll believe you. But her presentation was cute. I mean, she let the curtain down, and then we had a bunch of women standing on these pedestals with the dresses on. So the dresses were actually cute. There was one, I think she called the princess or something like that. I don't know what it was called, but it was really cute. I was like, wow. So, you know, she showed that off, and I liked the whole presentation, and it was insane to believe that everything here was done in her house. I'm like, damn, you have a big ass house. Like, I thought she was in some type of warehouse or something, and I completely forgot that this whole event took place at her house. After Dorit's presentation of each wedding dress, they all sit down, they start eating, they start talking. PK, he's right in the middle of Kyle and Erika, and he looks over at Kyle and he whispers, he's like, so are you gonna tell Erika, you know, any of the jokes that we were doing the other night? And Erika is right next to him, and I'm like, wow, PK, we're very bold. But I'm here for it. And Kyle, you know, Kyle gets a little shook, and she's like, oh, she does her nervous white woman laugh. She's like, oh, PK, I mean, if you feeling guilty about something, then go ahead, go tell her the jokes. Because I'm not going to be the one to do it. But please don't do it. Please don't do it, because you're going to get me in big trouble with her. Eventually, Lisa's husband, Harry, he shows up. Nobody's interested. Everybody gets up and they split their own separate ways. All the men go outside in the back. They talk about how PK was once broke. All the women stay inside. They gather around this table and they start talking about the Bernie Sanders meme. You know, of him outside with the mittens in the cold, with his jacket, with his legs crossed. And then Kathy, she's like, oh, wait, what? I thought you meant the KFC guy. What's his name? Colonel Sanders? Wrong meme. I'm like, Kathy, you're not funny anymore. Stop playing dumb. It's not cute. Stop it. Like, we understand Paris Hilton, but you stop it. And then eventually Kyle, she starts being messy. You know, she puts her hand in the pot, stirs everything out, takes it out, and then she hides it underneath a towel. And she's like, oh, you know, Garcelle, you had everybody, you know, kind of riled up with what you said. And Garcelle's like, what? No, fuck, what? And I'm like, what kind of reaction is that, Garcelle? Like, what were you really hiding? Or what did you really expect Kyle to say? I'm like, relax, it's not that serious. Kyle was like, you know, you did an interview the other day and you said that we were all coming for you. And Garcelle was like, well, yeah, I was kind of heated when I did that interview. It was right after the whole situation with the lip kit, you know, at Lisa's little event with Dorit, and she just felt attacked. And that's why I said it. And then here comes Miss Louis Vuitton. She's like, oh, well, I just want to address this, that, you know, I just feel like with Garcelle, it's just sometimes she doesn't really speak her mind and she's not really honest. And it's just like, you just say things to be provocative. And I'm like, Dorit, out of all the people on this cast, you're the one saying that? You're the one saying that Garcelle needs to say X, Y, and Z just to be interesting? What? Like, what show are we watching, or what show are you filming? Because out of all the women on the cast, you're the lamest one. If it wasn't for these little clown outfits that you designed and put on display today on this episode, we probably wouldn't even get any scenes of you, Dorit. We just found out you were even on the show like 4 episodes ago. And even then, you started putting your own foot in your mouth with all the shit that you've been talking that's constantly wrong. So I'm not sure why Dorit continues to try to make a point or try to paint out Garcelle like she's some type of liar or that she doesn't speak her mind. Garcelle has spoken her mind every single time, for the most part, when she had an issue with even with you know, with everybody on the cast. So I'm not sure what you're not understanding. Again, you just don't like being held accountable for anything that Garcelle tells you because you know that she's right. And then she does even more cringy shit, and she's like, you know, I'm just tired of Garcelle being passive aggressive. I mean, I don't understand what else she doesn't understand. I mean, I speak 4 languages. languages, and it doesn't make sense. And then she proceeds to speak in 4 different languages. I'm like, ew, Dorit, stop it. Like, you are not cool. You are not that girl. You are not the it girl. Stop it. And the 4 languages that you do speak is dumb, more dumb, super dumb, and extremely dumb. Because that's the only thing that I hear coming out of your mouth. I'm like, ugh, Dorit, like, you know, if we already did it, if we were already not a fan of you, we are definitely now already a bigger fan of you this episode because, oh, it's just, you know, again, you're choosing the wrong person to go one-on-one with. And I'm not sure why you constantly go after Garcelle, you know, when you should be going after Erika. Garcelle has done nothing to you or to the rest of the women on the group, but yet you're over here defending Erika, who's possibly, you know, in this whole crime with Tom, but you choose to be like, oh no, I'm gonna constantly believe her. I don't know what, you know, everybody's talking about. So, Dorit, you need to exit stage left quickly. Like, you need to go, and while you're on your way to the exit, you know, give your diamond over to PK because PK has brought much more substance than you have in these last 2 episodes, your whole season. Then we have Bert and Ernie over there, aka Lisa and Erika, and they're just sitting down watching the whole thing play out from the dinner table. And Erika's like, Lisa, I think you should go over there. Why don't you go over there? And Lisa's like, no, I feel like, you know, she's just, aka Garcelle, is just getting called out for being kind of nitpicky. And if I feel like there's some type of injustice, then I'll say something. But in this moment, I don't. I'm like, wow, like, I hope Garcelle sees this. I mean, I know that the reunion is filmed and everything is wrapped, but I really hope that Garcelle has let all that, you know, nice act out the window and just really gave it to Lisa at the reunion because Lisa just, oh, the way she just talks about Garcelle like that, I'm like, wow, like, what makes you an angel all of a sudden? Like, what makes you think that you're, like, better than everybody on this cast? It's just insane to me how these women, like, they do certain acts on the show and they say certain stuff on the show, and then they contradict themselves the next second. I'm just so confused by it. And then back at the table, we see Dorit just getting a little too close for my comfort, like, reaching over across the table to Garcelle. I'm like, what you reaching for? If I was Garcelle, I would have mushed her back. I'm like, move back, bitch. Like, you're way too close to my. She's just leaning over as if somebody's scared of her. I'm like, no, if I was Garcelle, Garcelle, you need to, you know, I know you don't want to be portrayed this way, but it's like, if I was you, I would just grab her by the hair, pull her over, like, bam, bam, son, get a couple of sucker punches in too, bam, and then, you know, get an uppercut. Like, Dorit is trying it, and Kyle, I hate that Kyle is just kind of skating by and nobody's calling out what she's kind of doing. I mean, she's producing this whole show, which, I mean, I guess, you know, congratulations, because I guess we get interesting scenes, but at the same time, nobody calls her out for being messy the same way that Lisa does. And Lisa's just sitting back like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything. So, Garcelle, again, if I was you, I would just stop asking for approval from Lisa, from this group. Like, just leave it at that. I understand that you feel like an outsider, and Dorit is just not understanding it either. Dorit's like, oh, yeah, I mean, do you really feel like an outsider? Do you really feel like we're always attacking you? And Garcelle is trying to explain that to them. And Kyle is like, you know, Garcelle, it's okay to tell Dorit to shut up sometimes. And Garcelle's like, shut up, Dorit, shut up. And I thought that she was actually going to say that, you know, from the previews. I thought she was actually directing that to Dorit, but she wasn't. It was kind of like a different play, like a different spin on the scene. I'm like, okay. And she's like, I'm just going to try to be honest with the group next time. And I'm like, that is pathetic. That is so sad how they have to force Garcelle to continue seeming as if she's crazy for her feelings. I'm like, no, her feelings are valid and they're 100% legit. Like, I don't understand what the group doesn't see. Sutton sees it, and Crystal, you know, she kind of sees it a little bit, but it's just, whew. It's just insane, y'all. It was a lot. I'm like, am I watching the wrong show? Am I feeling the certain thing that, you know, I'm not seeing here? Like, what's going on? What do y'all think? Do y'all think that Garcelle is reaching? Do y'all think that Dorit is right? Like, I'm not understanding what Dorit doesn't see. At this point, if I was Garcelle, I would have been like, okay, Dorit, give me 1 second. Walked over to the dinner table, grabbed like the nearest ketchup bottle and just sprayed it on everybody, on every single wedding dress, on everything that was white, including Dorit's dress. Like, oh, oops, I covered you in ketchup. And you know what? Even to be even more messier, I would have grabbed a mustard bottle and squirted it on them too. Like, oh, now I can leave. Because there's just no way that Dorit has been acting like she's the big bad wolf all of a sudden, just because she's probably like underneath Erika's ass all the time, and now she thinks she's like all big and bold to be confronting people. Like, stop it. Stay over there in your Louis Vuitton bag over there in the corner. And that was the episode, y'all. I still cannot believe Dorit had the nerves to say, oh, I speak 4 languages, and then proceeds to speak in them. Like, oh, Dorit. Like, oh my goodness. But what did y'all think about this episode? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.